All right, real quick. Uh, Lots going on, isn't there? If you're like me, you've been glued to all this stuff happening with the politics in the U.S., but there's stuff happening all over the place that is worth covering. And I want to get to a few scriptures in the Bible that specifically talk about Satan as the god of this world. That was brought up when I was camping. We went to the temple, and then somebody brought up what we thought of Satan as the god of this world in that kind of phrase. And so late at night, a couple nights ago, I was looking up the different things I could find about that, and this is in light of also reading about all this stuff. But like, crazy what's happening in Europe, specifically in the UK, and like, look at this headline. It only says one part of what's going on. Violent protests grip UK in wake of knife attack at dance class. Far right riot erupts in UK in the wake of child murders. Far right riots flare. How UK's long running Islamophobia problem led to far right riots. UK police make at least 100 arrests after far right protests descend into riots. That's only a part of what is going on over there. Holy smokes. Also, watching the stuff with Venezuela and the election there with Maduro, and it seems like people like China. China stands with Maduro, but the people there, certainly the U.S. doesn't seem to think that he has won fair and square, right? And you see people rising up there, and you wonder what kind of thing will happen in the U.S. if certain factors kind of play out, or if certain things play out in certain ways. What would push the U.S. to look like what's happening in Britain? You see the stuff happening in Israel, Iran. I think Iran. It's just so weird to see the before the Hamas leader died, and you see these big conferences they go to and what they're chanting. It's like, man, that's bananas. But it never gets brought up, that sort of thing. People saying those same chants on the streets of Britain, never brought up in any of these headlines. Look at that. How far down do we have to go? Page 2? Courts to be open 24 hours to crack down on rioters. Far right, far right, far right. Like, are we living in George Orwell's 1984 right now? Where we can't even, like, our eyes. Muslims fear going to mosques as far right riots grip UK. It's only part of the story. Stuff with Israel. I believe Russia, if some of these are true, has have warplanes and things landing in Iran. That's some Gog and Magog sort of stuff going on. Uh, Crazy times. This is going to be there's going to be a lot to watch in the next months, especially. Let me bring up a few scriptures. 2 Corinthians 4:4, and this is about Satan as the god or ruler of this world. And now when we say God, sometimes the word God has baggage to it because we have God big G, and then we have God's little g. And in some ways, it feels like God's little g, they certainly aren't the same thing. Now, in Bible Hub, if I put in the God's little g, it's like, it says a deity, especially the supreme divinity, figuratively, a magistrate, or Hebraism, vary. We're going to see maybe closer to what it means because a lot of people don't understand that concept of Satan as the god of this world, and because that doesn't make sense to them. It says this in 2 Corinthians 4:4, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. And his most powerful weapon is, it seems to be telling people that he doesn't even exist. John 12:31. Now is the judgment of this world, now shall the prince of this world be cast out. And this reminds me when, I play a lot of card games, or I have in the past, read a lot of books, and recently I was playing a game where it's like a race to 40 points sort of thing with everyone else on the table. And it's kind of a slow creep at the start, but once you get to about 24, 25, and you still have this big gap of 15, you know that you only have about one turn left, even though you've only made it just over halfway, because by that time in the game, you've amassed enough resources that you can kind of buy your way out the rest of the way. And that happens in lots of games where you're kind of creeping halfway through, and then it's like an explosion of kind of buying your way to the rest of the, putting it all in, and this big, massive assault at the end. Same thing with books where it's, I love Acts A and B in books, or Acts 1 and 2. But then the climax will sometimes just be very dramatic, and it feels like we are in that extreme ramping up stage where the god of this world, or the prince of this world, before being cast out, really ramping things up, as we've read would happen. John 14:30. Hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me. Feels like when Adam and Eve were cast out of the garden, that's when Satan was given dominion, or temporary dominion over this world. John 16:11. Of judgment, because the prince of this world is judged. Ephesians 2:2, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Matthew 4:8 and 9. Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain. This is a temptation of Christ. And sheweth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Revelation 12:9. And the dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and the angels were cast out with him. Last one here. And there's a bunch more. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, and the seal for the devil, and of the seal, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And that's a good thing, even though we see a lot of this crazy stuff happening. And, we hear about hearts will fail men. And because, I can't imagine what I would make of all this happening. All this stuff happening, move myself over. Just all the stuff happening in, as things ramp up and in U.S. politics. I can't imagine what I would think if I didn't have the foundation of the prophecies of these last days and the comfort that we know how it ends, even though, and we also know some of the feeling of the ramping up and the climax of all this. And we know that, it is, the world's in turmoil in a lot of ways. And we know that men's hearts will fail them and be fearful and kind of give up, but we know where it ends, which makes it a glorious day. And the prophets all spoke of this day, and it sounded like they almost wanted to, they wanted to be here because they know that the Savior would return again, and that was the glorious day to look forward to, even though we have to kind of push through some of this. And we know that the tears will be wiped out of the eyes of people in that day. But wow, look at all this stuff that's going to be happening. And I've only brought up a few things here. And we'll maybe keep track of a few of these things, and I'm going to keep going on with None Dare Call It Conspiracy. I'll do chapter 2 maybe soon and bring it to you here. But what do you guys think of all this that is going on? It sure seems a little bit ominous, and it's sure something to behold. I never thought that I would think that in 10 years things could look very different than now, but I've never thought that. But you certainly wonder. Things are moving very quickly, and we know that in Satan's playbook, or in the last days, that things will escalate and go very quickly. And every 24 hours there are new things that come up that I can't believe the stuff that happened only a few weeks ago or even a month ago that are almost old news, where it seems like in any other time they would be central. We were talking about them for months and months and months, and I suppose we still will, but there's just so much that has happened. Like October 7th, that's like 8 months ago or something, right? 10 months ago? Seems like it was years ago. Crazy. So, talk to you guys soon.